Welcome to The Snap with Alexis Perry and Sydney Jones.
Hello, Broncos country. Welcome back to the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube for this week's edition of The Snap. We are here in Minnesota for this week's joint practices and the Broncos preseason opener against the Vikings this Saturday. I'm Sydney Jones, your host, joined as always by my co-host Alexis Perry. And joining us today is Kleine, the Broncos Executive Director of Football Operations and Special Advisor to the General Manager. Kelly, thanks so much for joining Alexis and I today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, appreciate it.
You joined the Broncos back in May, but prior to that, you were here in Minnesota for, I think, 15 years, right?
Well, living here for 15 years, yeah, but with the Vikings for 9, yep, but counting college too. It's a long time.
Does it feel good to be back?
It does. It was so fun to be out there yesterday and see everyone, all the old coworkers, all the old staff, the old players. It's kind of like coming back home, so it's fun. Mm-hmm.
I know you guys had a little mixer up here on Tuesday. Who were some of the folks that you were able to catch up with?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Zimmer was here, so it's fun to catch up with him. A lot of the coaches, our football staff, all the pro scouts, a couple of the college scouts were in. So just everyone from equipment, video, trainers. And we were such a tight group over here, so it was really fun to see everyone.
Well, like Sydney mentioned, you were hired in May. What have the first few months on the job been like for you?
They've been crazy, but really good. Yeah, I'm still figuring it all out. Really, it takes some time to even just get to know everyone. That's one of the hardest parts. There's so many people in this organization, but it's been fantastic, and everyone is awesome. From you guys to you name it, everyone in the organization has been incredible and welcoming, and helping me if I have any questions with whatever. And obviously getting to work with George every day has been fantastic. I mean, he's the best. He's a great leader, a great person, and he's great at what he does. So it's been fun, but it's a good challenge. It's been a very good 3 months, however long it's been. Feels longer.
Well, we love that you're here in Broncos country. We're 2 weeks into training camp now, just over 2 weeks. How do the guys look out there? Good.
Yeah, we have a good roster. I think we did really well yesterday against the Vikings, and they have a good roster too. So it was a really good matchup to finally see our guys not just versus each other, but for some other competition. So it'll be really good to see the game on Saturday, see some live action, because we didn't get preseason last year, and that's such a huge evaluation tool for us. So it'll be really good to see them in some pads, actually tackling, and get some live game action in.
Yeah, what do you want to see the guys kind of, focus on and improve on throughout the next couple weeks of preseason before, regular season starts?
Yeah, I think the games are huge. The games are really, really important for a lot of these young guys. You see them running around out of practice, and you see them in pads a little bit, which helps, but you don't see them tackle. You don't see them actually hitting and that, actually at game speed. So, and, can everyone hold up? Hopefully everyone can, and we avoid any injuries, but, and just too, how are these guys learning? It takes time to learn a playbook. It's very challenging. So we have a good feel for everyone right now, but once that tape comes in on Saturday, it's go time.
Well, we love being in Minnesota. It's so fun to finally get back to joint practices. We haven't seen these since 2019. What are some of the benefits of joint practices in your mind?
Yeah, well, I think one, the biggest thing, with the Vikings, we used to go away for camp, and it was a really good just team bonding. Everyone gets to bond. I think that's huge for us to be here in the hotel. They set up games, and all the guys are playing, Pop Shot and Duck Hunt or whatever, or Deer Hunt, whatever is down there. And it's just a really good bonding tool for the team. And, I've gotten to know a lot more people just being here because we're all in one hotel, we're all together all day, every day. So I think that's part of it. But then obviously on the field, it's just huge to be able to match up versus other very, very good talent. And it's just good, to get more reps in, to get, they're on 2 fields. So we're watching a ton out there we just go back and forth. But it's just good to see how we match up too, and we feel pretty good about how yesterday went. So yeah, I think, we have a good team, and it should be hopefully a good year.
From the veterans that were on this team, and then now, of course, George's very first draft class, we're finally getting to see a little bit of a deeper evaluation on those guys during these joint practices and obviously throughout the past couple of weeks. So is anybody in particular really standing out to you on this Broncos roster?
Yeah, I think George and the staff did a hell of a job with the draft. I mean, it's a really good draft class. He did phenomenal for his first draft as GM. That's a big one. But obviously, Pat Surtain he's killing it. He's really fun to watch. Obviously he's a top pick, but he's been incredible to watch. So I think everyone's been doing a really good job. I think this draft class is going to be something special. And they did a great job evaluating these guys and getting them in here. And yeah, the whole, all the college guys, all the college scouts, you don't get to see the college scouts ever. And it's kind of, they're out on the road again already. They're out, they're ready for the next draft. So, we're out here watching their guys. But yeah, they all did a great job. But I think Pat has to stand out. He's looked incredible. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. Mm-hmm.
Well, Kelly, when you were hired back in May, you made history. You were the highest ranking woman in scouting in the league. That's kind of a tongue twister there. What did that mean for you?
Yeah, I had no idea. Patrick Smythe told me, he's like, yeah, this is going to be, I think, a big deal. And I'm like, I don't think so, Patrick. Like, it's not, I don't know. I had no clue. But then when they released the press release, whatever it was, I got more texts and calls and messages, and it meant a lot. It was really special. And like I said, I had no clue that it was big news. And I don't feel like I'm anything, I don't know, bigger, and I don't know. But
I think you're a big deal.
Thanks. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing and get my job done and help this team. But if it can, make a difference for young girls or just one person to see that they can do this, then that means the world to me. But yeah, I'm just trying to do my job, but I think the whole league is changing. Right after that, Catherine with the Eagles, it was awesome. And I knew she was getting promoted too. And her and Amina at the Eagles, she's a pro scout now, and you have Hannah Garrett, who's an area scout for the Giants. And Sally at San Francisco. I can name a bunch of them. It's everyone's rising up now, and it's awesome to see. And it's a lot of good young females in the NFL now, and they're paving the way, and we just keep passing it down, for the next group of college girls to come up, and let's see who else can get in. So, yeah.
You're certainly paving the way.
Thanks.
You mentioned you received a lot of text calls. What kind of support did you get? Anyone kind of cool reach out to you?
Oh, a lot. A lot. It was from Gary Kubiak called me, and talking about Denver and the role, and the people. It was, but even seeing, my name on like Twitter with someone told me like Schefter tweeted your name. I'm like, what? But just even, I think my family, it was so cool to see. My mom, my brother recorded everything that was on the news. He took videos of it and put them all on his Facebook, and it was cool to make, they're so proud of me. But just everyone, it was, it's very surreal that, it was a big deal. But hopefully more and more people keep coming, and
then it won't be as big of a deal.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't wait for that that we don't have to say the first this, we're getting there, but eventually. Mm-hmm.
For those who may not know, can you detail kind of what a day-to-day looks like for you? What is your role here with the Broncos?
Yeah, so I, on the scouting side of it, I'm doing more pro scouting now. So I have a couple teams in the preseason. We all have a couple teams that we evaluate, and then regular season as well. You have a practice squad position that you evaluate, throughout the whole league, that position. So I'm doing more of the pro scouting evaluations this year versus college, what I did at the Vikings. And then other than that, I'm helping manage the video department, the equipment department, but really just helping George too. He has so much on his plate, and he has a lot to worry about, especially as we're ramping up now. So I'm just here to whatever he needs, you name it. But he's letting me do a lot. I've been in, all the meetings. I've seen a lot more, the whole big picture of it now. There's so much more that goes into it that you don't realize. So I've learned a ton already, but yeah, we're still, I think, people ask me what I exactly do, and it's different every day. You never know.
Figuring it out.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm sure you set goals when you were here in Minnesota with the Vikings. So what are some of the goals that you've set for yourself now that you're with the Broncos?
Yeah. I know, and I keep asking, I ask our interns, did you guys set your goals? I'm like, I need to write my goals down actually, which I need to do still. But number one is just really getting comfortable in my role and getting it all figured out. Because I'm still, I'm very hard on myself, and I want to do the best job, and I don't want to screw up. I want to be there, to help George, help whatever. So just I think step number one is just really figuring out my foundation and everything I need to be doing. And it's different now, kind of managing some people. I haven't had to do that in the past. So just figuring out that side of it. That's one of my goals, first of all, is to get used to that and be a good manager for the people working with me. But then otherwise, I just always want to keep improving my evaluations and keep, learning my knowledge of the game, because there's always things to learn, and it's a lot to learn. But those are my small goals right now. I try not to think about the long run, and everyone asks, do you want to be a GM? And it'd be awesome. Everyone, I think, wants to be a GM. It'd be very cool, but I'm not focused on that at all. It's just one day at a time.
I like it. That's how I approach it too. One day at a time. Just get through today.
Get through today, yeah.
Well, Kelly, why did you originally want to get into the NFL? Can you kind of talk us through the journey that led you to this point today?
Yeah, so I, growing up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, is an hour south of Green Bay. So I was a huge Packer fan growing up. I mean, our family is diehard Packer fans, and Brewers and Bucks. It's Wisconsin sports. They're huge.
Congratulations then on the title.
Thank you. Bucks and six. I went to game 3. It was fantastic. But yeah, so I always grew up loving football. I mean, I never played it, which is fine, but I always loved football, and I always wanted to go to a school that had a good football program. And that's why, I looked at some small schools to go to, but I always wanted to go to a Big Ten school or ACC, SEC. So I wanted to go to a big school because of the football program. So I always, I've always loved football. But then I I almost stumbled into it. I didn't know that this is what I was going to do, or that it would be the NFL. I also interned for the PGA, and I thought that would be my route. I love golf.
Alexis loves golf.
I love golf. Yeah, that's my thing. Love it. Have to get out and play. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I kind of fell into the NFL, I loved it right away, because it's just everyone always says football's family, and it truly is. We're together all the time, and we're a very, very close group, and that's why it's so cool to come back here too. It's like our family, and so I think that's the special thing about the NFL is, I don't know, it's different. But this group of scouts, they're incredible here, and I think it's just the feeling of being part of your team. It's a big deal, and that's why I love the NFL so much. But
I think when you started back here with the Vikings, you started in PR, right?
Yes, as a PR intern. I was at first just a game day intern. And I'm trying to think. I went out to interview Jeff Anderson, who works in the PR department, for one of my classes. And he kind of talked to me about their game day internship program. I'm like, yeah, that'd be fun, sure. I need experience for school. So I started doing that, and then they asked me to actually help out that training camp down in Mankato, where we used to go every year. So that was my first experience, was training camp, and then game day. I started doing the game day as well. And then just helping out in the office. I always said whatever I could do. I always wanted to do more. And so then I helped out like a day or two a week in the office, and that's how I got to know so many people, just being around and being at camp. Mm-hmm. And that's how I kind of then fell into scouting. When they had their intern quit, they just, I knew those guys just from working together, and they asked me to help out. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. Why not? We had no clue what I was doing, but probably better that I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Looking back at that time, did you ever think you would be, an executive director at this point?
No, never. I mean, even when I got into it, because I loved PR, I loved that. I used to want to be a sideline reporter. That was my dream back in the day. But then it was a lot of writing, and I kind of maybe there was a different path I should take. So as soon as I got into scouting, I loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved everything about it. It was a challenge, though. It was really hard sometimes, just trying to learn how to evaluate. And still is, there's still things that I have to ask questions on. Even coming from, the Vikings defense is a 43, and now here we're at 34. And I sat down with one of our pro scouts right away. I'm like, all right, walk me through this. You just can't be afraid to ask. Right. But I'm sorry, whatever the question was, I circled away from that. But
no, that was perfect.
No, it's just like looking back, did you ever think that you were going to be here to where you are today? So
yeah, no, and I don't know. I think I just always wanted to keep growing and keep learning. But George obviously offered me an incredible opportunity that I'm very thankful for, and now I just have to prove to him that I can do it. But yeah, I always wanted to stay in the NFL, but hopefully I can keep growing and keep learning, and we'll see where it takes me.
You obviously stay in the NFL because, like you mentioned, football is family, and you create these relationships. Obviously, you know George, better than most, I'm sure. What's one thing people don't know about George Paton here in Denver?
George, he's the man. He's, I'm sure, people have watched his press conferences and things like that, but I don't think they realize how, he's just, we call him he's Cali cool. He's just cool. He's you guys know, working with him, everyone loves George. You can't find someone that says a bad word about him. And even being back with the Vikings. I mean, everyone was so excited to see him just because he just has a way of just interacting with people, and he really, really cares about other people. He can have a conversation with anybody, and he'll always ask you about your life. And I mean, he's an incredible human being, and his family too. I think his family's awesome. His wife Barb is fantastic, and she's an incredible person. She has her own app called Thoughtful Pinch. She sends thoughtful gifts every day. I mean, they're a really, really good family and good people, and I think that's the coolest thing about them. And and in their faith, and Barb and their kids, they're an awesome family, and it's kind of like the Broncos' first family, I guess.
Right.
Broncos country is so lucky to have them. I mean, and that's why too. I always have loved working for George, and obviously working with him for 9 years, and under Rick Spielman too, and all those guys. It's an incredible group. But yeah, George, it was his time, and
I saw him and Rick talking out on the field yesterday. Was he happy to see him again?
Oh, yeah. I heard they're doing a podcast or something today together. That should be entertaining.
To say the least.
Yeah. And they're so tight. They go way, 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 way back. They've been together for years and years, so they're like best friends. But yeah, so I'm sure they're having fun together.
Well, Kelly, you've mentioned that George gave you this opportunity, but I think we can all agree that you earned this opportunity for yourself. And so many other women are doing that as well. Why is it so important to have women in these really high-level decision-making positions?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge. I think, diversity has been a huge factor in all businesses lately, but I think it's also diversity of thought. And I think women, we function different. We do, and I think some of my skills, I feel like are, some of my people skills, or some of my organization skills, or it's other things that can be overlooked sometimes because there's so much other stuff to worry about. But I think as women, we just have a different view on some things. Sometimes guys open up to women, and you can get more out of people, and you can, figure out how to solve other problems. It's just, I think it's a huge thing for just a diversity of thought too. And so many of these women, they've worked so hard, we all have, because it takes time, and and so have a lot of men. But gosh, there's some really, really talented women rising up in the NFL right now. And it's going to be, I can't wait till, it keeps going and everyone gets up to the top. So, and
it's exciting.
It's wild. Yeah, I can't wait. And everyone says, the first GM and the first head coach, like it's going to happen. We got to get there. But there's a lot of talent coming up. And yeah, I just think it's very important to have. It's important to have diversity, women, it's pretty huge. So I'm thankful that George sees that too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned paving the path and kind of seeing these college women, and hopefully they take on these next opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities. So what's the biggest piece of advice that you have for those women who are trying to break into this industry?
Yeah, I just tell them, number one, you have to be willing to put the hours in. We work a lot of hours, and it's long work, but you just got to do it. You just got to put your head down. You might not get paid a lot of money at first because, that's how the sports industry is. But I always say, one, put your head down and work, because everyone notices that. Two, you have to have attention to detail, because especially when you're coming up, that's what people notice. You don't have to, when you want to get into scouting, you don't have to learn how to scout. You don't have to know how to scout yet, but it's the detailed things. It's, when doing the advances for the coaches, you cannot have mistakes. You have to be detailed. And so those are two huge things. And also just, building connections. That's huge, especially all these young women at colleges. There's scouts that come in there all the time, and I tell them all, introduce yourself, get in front of them, put a face to the name. You can send emails, but get in front of them. And these scouts, when we're looking for interns or people to come in, we ask our college scouts, hey, anyone from the colleges, so that's huge. And then if you can get to the combine or the Senior Bowl, get your face out there and meet people and maintain those connections, but don't overdo it.
I feel like that's key. Don't overdo it.
Yeah. Fine line, but yeah, I think, number one, just you have to get the experience, you have to work hard, and just, kind of being able to fit in too is a part of it, but I think that just comes with, if you like football and you're gonna fit in.
Well, Kelly, I know you're a very busy woman, so thank you so much for joining us here on The Snap. It was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. Yeah, thank you.
Fun.
And good job for you guys. You guys are killing it too, so I like watching you as well.
Thank you. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Snap. Make sure to stay up to date on The Snap by following the Broncos Podcast Network on Twitter, and we will see you guys next time.